Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in into another interesting conversation, important conversation as well. And today, at the moment, I have Natasha from an organization called Farm Angel here with me. Hello, Natasha. Great to see you. Yeah.
Hi, Masami. I'm excited to be here with you. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's International Women's Day. We are celebrating this at the moment and connecting with amazing women doing different things, but important work and taking positive actions. I just want to hear from you about your little bit about your personal background, but also touch base on your special work that you are doing.
Certainly, absolutely. So I live in a little town called Crow's Nest, west of Brisbane, and just moved here recently, actually. But I did grow up in Brisbane on 40 acres. It used to be the outskirts of Brisbane, but that's all gone now. And my parents always had farms out on the Darling Downs. So my childhood was always spent out on our family farms, helping Dad on the farm. Weekends and holidays were always spent out there. So I have a real connection with rural Australia and rural life. So, and I started this charity called Farm Angels 11 years ago now. And it was something I thought I'd be doing for 3 to 6 months, and the drought would break. And we were originally actually called Drought Angels, but changed our name last year to Farm Angels because we do so much more than drought. But I heard about a farmer in Queensland. Queensland was in a really, really bad drought back in the early 2012 to 14, and it continued right through to about 2020. But in 2013, at the end of 2013, I heard about a farmer who was trying to sell his cattle because of the drought. The trucks came to take them, but the cattle were all too poor. So the trucks left empty and left this farmer with all of his stock. So unfortunately, the only way this poor farmer saw out the way out was he had to shoot all of his stock. He had to shoot his working dogs, and then he sadly turned the gun on himself.
Wow.
And that just took me back to the early 90s here in Australia when interest rates were at 20%, and my parents had the banks knocking to come and take the farm and their house in Brisbane. And I know what it's like to be in that house where your parents are struggling to put the food on the table and pay the bills and stop losing everything that they've worked their whole life for. So I wanted to do something to stop another farmer from taking their life. And I truly thought it would be for 3 to 6 months. The rains would come and the drought would break, and that obviously didn't happen. And we we grew our own wings, really. We just grew so quickly and rapidly. And here we are 11 years later, and we support farmers across the whole of Australia that are impacted by all natural disasters.
And you mentioned the change of the naming, right? Because initially it started because of drought, but then now it's actually so much more, that you do. And so can you tell me a little bit about what you see in the last 11 years and the things, how things changed?
Yes, absolutely. I think when we first started, there was not a lot of assistance out there for our farmers and not a lot of recognition for them. And since in those 11 years, it has definitely grown across the country to be, our government is definitely helping a lot more,
Mm.
um, and be more proactive with our farmers, which is wonderful to see. We've still got a long way to go, but it is great to see the tides have sort of turned, with people really recognizing that without farmers, we're all hungry. They supply the clothes on our backs, and the drinks that we enjoy and the food that we enjoy. And so I think it's not only Australia, I think it's the world needs to value and recognize our farmers because they are the reason every one of us is here. There was a study a couple of years ago by the National Farmers Federation, and it came back that 75% of Australian farmers don't feel appreciated by the Australian public. So my mission is to make sure that every single one of those farmers feel appreciated. Um, and Yeah, I think, I know that we've saved lives and I know that we've saved farms. I've had farmers ring me and tell me that, thank you, Tash, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. Um, they would have taken their life, or that they would have lost their farm. They would have lost everything if it wasn't for what we did to help keep them where they are and keep their spirits up and remind them that they're not alone, and doing those on-farm visits with them and checking in on them. We can't be out on the farm all the time, but we do a lot of regular phone check-ins with them. So yeah, that's what really makes my heart sing, is seeing the difference that we are making in their lives.
And when you are doing your work, do you have any conversations with your own family about what you are doing? Because I am sure that it takes a lot away from your personal life, right? When you are committed to doing something like you do. What's your experience in that?
Yeah, it very much takes time away from my husband. As my husband and myself, and I've got my fur baby Lily, who's a four-legged human. I call her. She's my four-legged human. She's a red cattle dog. I wasn't able to have children due to endometriosis, so I had a hysterectomy when I was 37, and I'm okay with that as well, because I believe in life, everything happens for a reason. And, had I have had children, then Farm Angels never would have started. So, but, I'm really fortunate in that actually my husband told me to get a hobby, and that was another reason Farm Angels came about. So
Wow, it became much bigger than hobby, didn't it?
yeah, he's never told me that ever again. But he has been with me, standing shoulder to shoulder with me, and again, it wouldn't have been possible without his support. And I have a wonderful team, like the team here at Farm Angels. I have, an incredible team behind me who, none of this happens without them either. So, I have the support of men and women behind me with Farm Angels, and they're a great support.
And so the people who come to work with you, what makes them actually attracted to this work? Because it's hard work, right?
It is, absolutely. And, a lot of them, within our farmer support team, we've got farmers or people that have had a rural background or grown up in a rural background. But yeah, I think everybody that comes and works at Farm Angels has had a connection to the land of some sort, or grown up rurally. So they really understand the challenges, or they've worked rural and they understand, the value of rural Australia and rural life. And
we are really grateful for all your team members. So please let them know that how amazing they are.
I will, yeah.
Yeah, and then we didn't kind of brief or rehearse or anything, so you didn't know what I would be asking in this conversation. But if you actually have any numbers or statistics in mind about the impact of your work for the last 11 years, perhaps you could share any numbers or story or.
Oh, yeah, I think, well, helped over 5,000 farming families across Australia. And that's all, like I said, fires, floods, droughts, mice plagues, pandemics, and
Wow.
health. We have one farmer every 10 days in Australia that takes their life to suicide, which is quite alarming. And I think it's about rural people are 50% more likely to take their life than
Really? Wow.
in the cities as well. So, the suicide statistics for rural Australia are alarming. But yeah, I think, I guess the one story for me is, a dairy farmer here in Queensland who, when things were really, really bad, he was about to lose his tractor to, it was being repossessed. And he rang us with the repossessors there. His little daughter was hanging onto his leg, crying because she could see how distressed Dad was. He's trying to stop the tractor from being taken away in the midst of the drought, because once his tractor is taken, he can no longer feed his stock. So, you know, all of his stock were going to die if he lost the tractor. But, you know, it was lucky he did reach out to us, and it was lucky we were in a position, financial position at that time, that we were able to pay off that tractor for him so that it couldn't be repossessed and taken from him. And he is the farmer that has rung me and said, you know, thank you, Tash. I would not be here if it wasn't for you. And he's a generational dairy farmer. And that story has just always stuck and resonated with me. And, you know, he rings me every Christmas without fail, even though we haven't, you know, supported them in any way for a number of years. They haven't needed it. But without fail, every Christmas he rings me to wish me a Merry Christmas and to check on me and see how my year was and how's everything going. And
amazing.
Yeah.
And you know, it says so much. Like, I actually surprised you, you know, with the question suddenly asking what statistics do you have. A bit sneaky, but you know, it just that imagine that 5,000 farmers and the implication of the work that you have done, and also all the people who have supported your work too. They might not really realize what that means when they make the small contributions that they can make.
Absolutely. You know, and one of my farmers said to me, Tash, $1 to you might be small change, but $1 to me is life changing. So I always say to people might make a donation and go, I don't have much, but I'm like, that is life changing. It might only be $1, but it is life changing, and it all helps to add up to a lot. So never, ever underestimate the power of your dollar donation, because, you know, it's those lots of dollars that can add up to have a really big impact on somebody.
So thank you so much, Tash. I'd love to have a more, you know, conversations like this with you to learn more about the great work you are doing, so we can share the message and inspire more people to help too. But today is International Women's Day, and this is a quick conversation. But thank you so much for being open to come and connect with me.
Thank you, Masami. I appreciate your time. And to all the beautiful women across the country and across the world, you know, happy International Women's Day.
Yeah, and if you are watching this recording, live or recorded video, thank you for, you know, spending time with us. And if you want to make any comments, then please do. And thank you. All the best and happy International Women's Day.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.